Hey adventurers, so today is going to be my Q3 MBR or TBR. This is more of a TBR in many ways, but it's also still very much an MBR. So this is one, I'm actually filming this, when am I filming this? Today is the June 17th. It's not the end of the month yet, so some of this might not be accurate. Most of it should be. So there may be some few minor changes, but probably not. Anyways, I will start going through this. So I don't know what I've been doing, if I have been going through the books that were on last month or last quarter's MBR or not, but I'm not going to this time. I'm just going to go through what I have on here. Of course, I've got the three categories, which is unread, holdovers, and new editions. So the unread books are the books from last quarter that I just didn't get read, and that's fine. None of them, there's no book that I am mad at myself for not having read at this point. It doesn't bother me. But we'll go through those quickly if I can. So the first one that's on the unread is Taliesin by Stephen R. Lawhead. This is the first book in the Pendragon cycle. It's an Arthurian retelling. I haven't read it yet. I really want to though. And then I've also got Beowulf. I haven't read this one. This was on my MBR for last month and I haven't gotten to it yet. Also, let's see, Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper. This is another one I did read. So what happened is I was going to read this one. Was that in the first quarter? No. Okay, so just in Q2, I put Last of the Mohicans on the MBR to possibly read, and I was going to read it, but then I was like, well, maybe I should read The Deerslayer, because that's technically it's a prequel. It was written afterwards, but the events take place before The Last of the Mohicans. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna read The Deerslayer first before I read Last of the Mohicans, and so I haven't gotten to Last of the Mohicans yet. It is definitely one that I will be getting to relatively soon though. I have Nevada by Zane Grey. This is a Western. I don't know much about it. I like Zane Grey. The two books that I've read of his so far I've really enjoyed, and I don't have any doubt that I'll love this one as well. So the last one of my unread books from Q2 is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is just this is a sci-fi book that I think I'll probably really enjoy based on some of the people that I know really enjoyed it, that I feel like I've got some fairly similar tastes to, and I think that I'll enjoy it. I tend to enjoy books. So let's see. That's the end of my unread list. On my holdovers, I've just got Tales from the Perilous Realm. This is one that I just read little bits of when I get the chance and when I get time and when I decide to. I haven't finished Rove Random yet. I don't have a ton left in it, I don't think. 97. So I've got about 40 pages left of Rove Random. That'll take me, if I sat down and read it, that would take me 2-3 hours maybe. Tolkien's a little bit more dense. Probably not that. Probably 2 hours is a good bet, or an hour and a half if I would just sit down and read the entire thing. I really like Tolkien. I really like what I've read of Rove Random. It's very much, feels a lot like The Hobbit in many ways, and I really like that. Anyways, let's continue on. For my new edition, so this is the one where I will actually have some change happening, obviously, because they're new editions. But the thing about this quarter is in July, somehow I ended up deciding that I was going to take part in a couple of read-alongs, and the first one is the first one that I decided to take part in was the Battle of the Bands Part 2, I think is what it's called. Anyways, this is done, or being hosted by Jake the Bookish Drummer, and so all these prompts have to do with various bands and stuff like that, and so I've decided to take place in that one, and I will get to the books. Basically, the way that I'll treat this read-along is the books that I read, I'll try and find a prompt that they fit, and if they don't fit one, oh well. If they do fit one, great. There's one specific one that I did choose a prompt, right? There's a book that fits the prompt. I can't talk. But we'll get to that one and get to it. The other read-along that I'm part of is the read-along on the Keymark Discord servers, which is run by A.R. Witham. I don't know why I can't think of that. Anyways, that's his book. I'm reading it currently. At the time of filming this, I'm reading it. So, what am I thinking? What am I saying? Okay, so I have decided to be part of that one. This is this read along is you're only allowed to read 5 books for it. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna plan out 5 books that I will probably try and read for this read along. I've got 1 on ebook, I've got 1 physical book, and then the other 3 are audiobooks. So I will go through those real quick. For those of you who are taking part in the Keymark read along, the prompts that I chose to go along with these ones are for A Dip in the Ocean, which I believe is a novel or a novella or a short story or something like that. I think it's kind of intended for a novella. And so I went with, so that's the main, A Dip in the Ocean is the main prompt, but then the other minor prompt that it fits is an indie author or a self-pub author. And I went with A Prelude to Ashes, which is the prequel to the Ashes of Averin series by Thiago Abdallah, which is the first book being, why can't I think of what the first book is called? A Touch of Light, and the second book is A Shade of Madness. I've read A Touch of Light, I haven't read A Shade of Madness yet, but I need to read this prequel, A Prelude to Ashes, and then I will reread A Touch of Light, and then I'll read A Shade of Madness. Those will be in the coming months. That maybe quarter 3, maybe not, I don't know. Those are just whenever I can slot them in type thing. So that's the first one of the 5. The second prompt that I chose was Sandcastles, and for the main prompt, and that is a book with a castle on the cover essentially. And then the secondary prompt that I went with is SBF-B09, the self-published fantasy blog off, and I have self-published books that I need to read. This one happens to be in 9, and it's one that I happen to own physically, and that is Seekers: The Winds of Change by Troy Knowlton. So this is one, it's got a castle, counts for the sandcastle, or for the Sandcastles prompt. And I'm going to read this one because I want to, and it's physical. I have it physical, and it's only like, it meets the minimum page count, which is 200 pages, but it's 340 pages according to page numbers. So that figured that's a good one for me to read because I'm a slow physical reader, but I think I can get through all of that next month for sure. Where am I at next? Okay, Earth Vacation, so this is the third prompt. Earth Vacation is the prompt that I chose, and that is for a book that doesn't take place on Earth or that travels between worlds or something like that. So the one that I chose is The Wormling Horde. This is the 7th book in the Runelord series. It doesn't take place on Earth, and there might be some sort of world hopping that happens in it, so it definitely counts as that. That one is a sequel. It counts, that's the minor prompt that it fits. Next main prompt is Rucksack Trekking Supplies, and then the minor prompt that I went with this is a debut novel, and this is also the only book that I have planned specifically for the Battle of the Bands read-along, I don't know, readathon, I think that's what it is. And that book that I will be reading, I don't actually own it physically, I have an audiobook copy sent from the author, it's More Than a Vampire, and written by J.R. Carroll. I've read his More Than a Gunslinger, but this is his debut novel is More Than a Vampire, so if it's a debut novel, and that's the one that I'm going to be reading. Listening to the audiobook actually, but counts as reading. And then the last prompt that I have is Long Vacation. This is another one that, so Long Vacation prompt is a book that's over 500 pages. And then for the minor prompt I went with another SPFB09, which that's the SPFB09 minor prompt is the only one that's allowed to be used multiple times, and because of that I'm using it again. But I am going to try and read Heliotrope by Palmer Pickering. This is one that I don't know a ton about it, other than that Andrew Wizardly read it and loved it, and says that the audiobook is fantastic, and Tori from Tori Talks I think she's finished it by now, but she also loved it and very much recommending it to me. Both of them, I basically asked them what I should read, they said Heliotrope. And so I'm probably going to read Heliotrope and hope that I like it. I suspect I will. So that is those books that are on the new editions. I've got a couple other ones. I've got Chaos Bound because that'll be in that, okay, Chaos Bound right here. This is the 8th book in the Runelord series by David Farland. I will be reading it because Nico and I, Nico's book reviews, have been reading a book a month other than April. We took a break in April. basically that's the last one we have after the Wormling Horde. So Wormling Horde and Chaos Bound are the last two books published in the Runelord series, and we'll be finishing that up in, what is this, June, so July, August. August we'll have finished up the published books in the Runelord series. Then I've got, let's see, I mentioned More Than a Vampire, mentioned Heliotrope, Loamhedge, and Rackety Tam. I don't own a physical copy of Loamhedge, but I'll listen to that on audiobook as it is. This one I may read physically because there are some, and I've listened to the audiobook for Rackety Tam before, and there's actually some issues with the recording. And so I probably won't listen to the audiobook for that one as much as I love the audiobooks for them. I may, but I may just physically read this one because I can, and I own it physically. But that's the other Redwall book. I've been trying to do 2 Redwall books a month, or a quarter, I mean, so that I can actually continually be making progress on the series. Trying to do one that I've read already and one that I need that, let me rephrase that. One that I haven't read, or that I've read and remember and know I love, and then one that I either haven't read or don't remember anything about. And so that's what I've been doing. And I'm on to Rackety Tam, which I have read and I remember and I love it. It's one of my favorites. And Loamhedge, which is one that I have read, but it's been so long that I don't really remember anything about it. Then we've also got Secret Project number 3 coming out in July. Is that right? July? Yeah. So I will be I'll be listening to that one probably it'll be one of the first books in July that I listen to for sure. Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I want to get that one listened to, and then, so I'm going to listen to that one, I'm going to review it. That's fine. My box will come for that one pretty early. Anyways, Secret Project number 3, I don't know what the title is for this one. I don't actually remember what the title is, and that's alright. Then I've also got Fires of Heaven, which is book 5 of The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, and Lord of Chaos, which is book 6 of Wheel of Time. I don't know that I'll get to either of these, or even both of these, but I finally got the audiobook for book 4, got past the part, it's like a chapter, and then I was back to where I was interested in. I was 29% in, and I listened to like one chapter, and I was like, okay, now I'm invested in this series again, in this story, and so I am excited to continue on with the series after over a year, probably, a year and 2 months, about, since I started reading book 4. The Shadow Rising is book 4. And so I'm glad to actually be finishing that one up. It'll be finished up by the time you're watching this for sure. And the last book that I have is To Speak with Elders by Mike Mullman. This is the second book in the Protectors of Pertani series. The first book is Becoming a Druid, and book 1.5 is Sins and Sorrows. I have listened to both of those and really enjoyed both of those. So I'm looking forward to reading To Speak with Elders, because I suspect I'll really enjoy that one as well. So those are the books on my quarter 3 MBR, slightly TBR, because July is actually pretty set with what I'm going to read. The rest of these will come after July probably, or maybe during July if I finish all my other stuff up. But we will see what happens. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. Our social media is linked in the description down below, and we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.